Before he crosses that line, Hannah holds Keolsik's hand while explaining that Kinhyuk's reaction speed is inhuman. Adding the fact whether they fight Kinhyuk head-on or ambush him, they have no chance of winning. She knows well that the second he is attacked, he will probably get right up and retaliate. Keolsik asks what she is suggesting then, because they can't just sit back and let Kinhyuk use them like this. A moment later, Hannah reveals that her brother is a member of the Black Crow Guild, and he gives her something when she is in danger. She takes out a fong that contains venom. One drop of this venom is capable of sending 100 trolls to their grave. It's called a giant zucchini bee stinger. Showing her true color, she wants to kill Kinhyuk in one go so that he can't get back at them. The night finally passes and Kinhyuk wakes up in disgust to eat his breakfast. Repeatedly has to eat stir-fried moss and mushrooms every single time he eats. Hannah snipes remarks, saying there's nothing else to eat around here, and suggesting to catch a bath or moth to eat instead. In return, Kinhyuk asks her to pass the water and asks Keolsik to give him more food. The fact that Kinhyuk acts like their boss is really getting on Hannah's nerve. They are excited the moment Kinhyuk eats the food. To their surprise, Keolsik is throwing up his gut instead, as if his body getting corroded from the inside. Kinhyuk speaks, saying how idiot they are, and expresses his mind that he would never eat the food she gave him. He explains that he switched their plates while he distracted them. He is also going to report Hannah for secretly broadcasting to the tower system. She tries to argue, asking whether he has proof. Kinhyuk simply states the rules to her, before adding the fact in the event that players are caught, appropriate measures will be taken. He expresses how bad she is for failing to keep a straight face while streaming, and how obvious it is for him to see. The moment Kinhyuk finishes reporting her, the system immediately delivers its judgment. Hannah is confused for a moment, before noticing that all of her chat is disappearing one by one. All of the viewers engaging in her stream are getting banned from watching any video for a month. For Hannah, the player who violates the tower's rule, she will be subjected to a cruel fate as a penalty. Right after, the Minotaur appears again like a clockwork from one of the labyrinth's halls. The moment he sees them, he roars in rage and immediately charges toward them. Looking at the Minotaur, Hannah is whimpering in fear and asks Kinhyuk whether he will fight against that again. She also asks him where to go in order to survive this once more, before Kinhyuk commends how shameless Hannah is. Until the Minotaur appears, she was trying to poison him to his death, so he asks why he should help her again. Hannah keeps trying to plead for her survival because Kinhyuk keeps helping her all of this time. She cries crocodile tears, and, at the same time, the condition for Kinhyuk able to copy her skill has been met. Only after that moment comes, Kinhyuk reveals that he needs her for something all along, and now he doesn't. Knowing her skill has no effect on him, she threatens him with the fact that her brother is part of the guild Black Crow. At that instant, the Minotaur's attack landed on the floor where Kinhyuk used to stand. It sends her aside, while Kinhyuk jumps above to avoid the attack. Summoning his dagger, he wants her to watch who she should be more afraid of. That stupid black cow, something guild or Kinhyuk, is literally the top 1 player in the game. Using his dagger, Kinhyuk goes straight toward the Minotaur's head to land an attack. Unfortunately, he only manages to deal with a shallow attack. As he keeps dodging the incoming attack, he feels relieved by the fact that he is able to deal with any attack at all, and how worth it is to increase his rift stats. At this point, he knows while he can't kill this Minotaur directly, but Kinhyuk decides to go for it anyway. After dodging the swing, Kinhyuk turns back to blast the Minotaur with his fire magic. At the moment it is distracted by the fire, Kinhyuk dashes toward it and slashes both of its tendons. It landed nicely, and the attack made the Minotaur unable to move for a moment. So Kinhyuk taunts it further, telling it to not move so much because if it is, it will make its meat tough. The time Kinhyuk's waiting for is finally coming. The Labyrinth Guardian, the Minotaur has activated its skill, Berserk. Its body suddenly swells up, filled with power and rage going for the humans that infuriating him repeatedly. The moment the skill activates, it also sends a quack outward, sending fear toward anyone who dares to come against it. This skill gives the Minotaur a 30% increase in all stats, while also giving him the ability to speak. With it, he screams, pleading to tear Kinhyuk to pieces and scatter them all over the labyrinth, so he can never trespass ever again. Of course, Kinhyuk welcomes the challenges, but at the same time, he feels that his mana efficiency has increased somehow. The Minotaur swings its axe. In kind, Kinhyuk meets the incoming attack head-on instead of evading. Kinhyuk feels there is no point in dodging every attack anymore and decides to meet every attack directly. A clanking sound fills the labyrinth as Hana watches in shock. She couldn't believe that Kinhyuk was actually able to directly deal with the Minotaur. For all she knows, even if all the Black Crow guild members here would not be able to deal with this Minotaur. On top of the fact that Kinhyuk is actually smiling in the face of such an extremely powerful boss-level monster. Despite what Hana believes to see, Kinhyuk hasn't always been capable of this. No matter how hard he worked in real life, it felt like he was always walking in place, and he hated that. He couldn't change his reality in an instant, and that made him feel powerless. The difficulty level for both his game and real life was hellishly hard. But this world responds to him in an instant. At this point, he already has 57 points on his rift stats, and this keeps increasing with each attack they exchange. In the next trade of attacks, the Minotaur smashes the wall of the labyrinth, breaking the wall to pieces. Kinhyuk still coming at him, slashing the broken walls in his way and landing a quick succession of attacks on it. Still raging with berserk, the Minotaur goes for a jab toward Kinhyuk, who is at a standstill in the air, making him an easy target with no way of dodging. A gush of wind suddenly comes over the labyrinth. Kinhyuk lands softly on the floor, while the Minotaur's hand stops midair and fails to reach Kinhyuk. Kinhyuk stands right to its face, knowing its berserk duration is over. The Minotaur's consciousness fades with the intelligence as its skill is over. Berserk enables 5 minutes of super strength, but when it's over, the user falls asleep for 24 hours as a penalty. Looking at his rift stats point, Kinhyuk happily grinning that now he bridge up to 19 levels. There are about 20 days left. If he maintains this pace, he should be able to meet his goal of 100 points. Park Hana appears again, asking whether it's over. Kinhyuk answers that he will keep going for the 20 days ahead, as well as explaining the Minotaur is resting for now and will go after them again after the day passes. 20 days later, Kinhyuk is still excitedly dodging attacks from the Minotaur. Even though the stats he gains diminish every time his stats reach a certain point. The last attack he has to dodge is a sweep at his feet, where he just needs to leap a bit to dodge. This attack is what he needs to make his rift stats reach 100 points. The moment he collected enough stats, he punched the Minotaur in the jaw, literally once punch kill. Every passing day, the Minotaur feels weaker because of the increase in Kinhyuk's rift stats, even though he has never leveled up even once this whole time. Stepping on its corpse, he bids his farewell to the Minotaur who has accompanied him this whole month. Turning around toward Hana, he now has to figure out a way to deal with her. So he invites her to join his hardcore gaming company. Looking at how Hana doesn't seem very enthusiastic, Kinhyuk intimidates her to join. That instant, Hana turns her attitude around and expresses her enthusiastic wish to join, making Kinhyuk joyfully approaches her. This 30-day journey then turns into an interview where Kinhyuk asks what can she do for the company. In return, Hana claims that she has a sociability skill he can use. But Kinhyuk already copied her skill, so she basically will be useless. Kinhyuk decides to intimidate her some more, saying that she will not be accepted with that alone. In the end, Hana will give the Braham's ring in return to be able to join the company. She claims that her brother going to trade Goryo ginseng for it, as she clings to Kinhyuk's legs begging not to be killed. This item she talked about, the Braham's ring, is one of the best items one can find on the first floor. It increases users' ability and magic resistance, and even inhibits the magic of monsters. After using the Eye of the Truth, Kinhyuk finds that Hana is telling the truth. So he congratulates her because as of this moment, she is hired as an intern for the Hardcore Gamer Company. Right after, Kinhyuk states the rules for joining, and lastly, she needs to sign a contract. Hana is confused for a moment that she has to sign something, but it's not something she is able to think of. Combining the commune and element of fire skills, Kinhyuk acquired a skill called Brand of Obedience. As he's going to put his hand on her, he explains that it's not a flimsy piece of paper contract. Kinhyuk welcomes her into the black industry as he uses the skill on her and marks her as the branded. A moment later, two of them went out from the labyrinth. Kinhyuk smiles brightly as Hana cries of joy remark the fresh breath of air she longed for a whole month. A notification appears, giving them 5,000 coins as the reward for players who clear the labyrinth. It also reveals their achievement will be recorded in the Hall of Fame. Feeling happy seeing the notification, Hana is surprised when Kinhyuk tells her to hand the coins over. In the end, she can only feel dejected as she hands all her coins over to him, which makes him the richest player in the whole game. Right after, Kinhyuk orders her to get the Braham's ring over to him in 3 days. Hana tries to argue, but Kinhyuk simply uses his skill to make her obey his command shown with the burnt mark on her face. Going out, the news reported that Korea's representative guild, called Dangun, will attempt to take on the third-floor boss. Kinhyuk thinks that it is a hasty plan to rush into climbing the tower in order to monopolize the resources because eventually they will regret this later. He knows better than anyone if one doesn't build a solid foundation. Players will eventually hit a wall and cave under the pressure of how hard the game is. Finished cleaning up, Kinhyuk is looking for information about what happened in the tower for the past month. Ultimately, he needs reliable sources and people he can trust since there is no second chance in climbing the tower now. Before long, Kinhyuk got in touch with two of his playmates in the game. One is Lee Taemin, who played Human Baldi in the game. The other one is Yu Yanawa, who played Bulgwangdong Nuclear Fist. Kinhyuk is startled by meeting them because it's hard to match them with their game personas. He never thought he would end up meeting the people he played Tower of Trials with in person. Activating the Eye of Truth, he finds that Taemin obtained Mechanical King again, as he also obtained it in the game. It is a unique ability, especially useful in large-scale battles which, besides draining the user's mana, doesn't have a single downside. On the other hand, looking at Yanawa, obtained the Earthquake Taekwondo, a unique ability designed for close proximity tanking and damage dealing. The copy condition of that unique skill is to reach the 20th floor together. As Kinhyuk is thinking to himself, Taemin shifts the conversation towards Kinhyuk, reminding him it's his turn. Blushed red with embarrassment, he tells them that his username is Poopy Fart in the game, before telling them that he used to be a streamer on Paprika TV. Looking at how tense he is, Taemin tells him to relax a bit, since they have been playing together for such a long time. Even Yanawa also agrees with it. Finally able to meet them, Kinhyuk realizes how nice they're compared to people who are only trying to use him or stab him in the back, both in real life and as a player. Even though it's Kinhyuk's first time meeting them in person, he feels totally at ease as both of them fill him in on what happened outside while Kinhyuk is in the labyrinth, including the movement of representative guilds worldwide, the trends of streamers, along the group that calls themselves the demons that kidnaps people and operates coin factories. Before long, Taemin reveals that Kinhyuk might need to take the test since he was away for a month. As they go on their way, Taemin explains that people started to flock toward the Tower of Trials ever since it appeared, but the amount of casualties skyrocketed on the second floor. Now, only those who pass the Association of the Awakens test can go up. Yanawa adds that once he passes, they will give him a barcode as she shows hers to him. Remembering the head of the association, Kinhyuk knows the reason behind this test is to bring skilled players out of hiding and recruit them. Smiling wickedly, Kinhyuk is excited to take advantage of the pathetic system the association has created. Ever since the establishment of the Association of the Awakened, the player who scores lower than F rank is deprived of their right to go to the second floor. On the other hand, those who score high immediately receive offers from the government and high-ranking guilds. Therefore, only 3 types of people gather on the testing side. Those who desperately hope for the chance to ascend the Tower of Trials. Those who judge whether or not someone is qualified to ascend the tower. And those who want to show off how qualified they are to the world. Among them is Park Ha-jin, who brings Hana, known to the outside world as the survivor of the labyrinth, to take the test. He is the rising star of Guild Black Crow. Behind them is another big deal, Kim Ki-tai of Guild Warriors. He is pissed by the fact of how many people gather on the testing site. While Ha-jin suggests it might be because people are hoping to strike gold, Kitai doesn't have the patience to wait for all of these, so he orders Hajin to clear them up since he is here because of Hajin's sister. Both the Park brother and sister can only nod nervously. Right after, people from their side start pushing people aside, telling them that a VIP trying to pass through. If they don't get beaten up, they have to move and give way. Until one of these ignorant henchmen screamed toward Kinhyuk, telling him to move aside. Of course, he refuses, while both Taemin and Yanawa are nervous because both of them know who they are. In the end, Hajin shoves the henchman aside, jabbing his finger toward Kinhyuk and telling him it's not too late to move aside if he doesn't want to get beaten to a pulp. People can only wonder who the man who dared to stand up against Park Hajin is, while Kinhyuk suspects he might be Hana's sister. Activating his eye of the truth, Kinhyuk finds that Hajin has a unique ability. The copy condition is either to reach maximum friendliness or maximum hostility. Excitement fills Kinhyuk's eyes knowing that while Hajin keeps poking and jabbing his finger at Kinhyuk. Finally able to catch up a little, Hana is shocked to see who his brother is messing up with. Kinhyuk grins happily, grabs Hajin's finger, and snaps it like a twig, making Hajin scream like a little girl. A moment later, Kinhyuk is leisurely drinking a bottle of water, while Hajin is extremely worked up and frantically fixes his finger. Right after, he summons his dagger, going for an attack attempt toward Kinhyuk. People watching are in panic and fear of being swept in the fight. In return, Kinhyuk throws the water toward Hajin, making him miss the attack. In that instant, Kinhyuk gave him a tackle, making him fall ridiculously on the ground. Because of how fast Kinhyuk's counter is, people fail to see that and suspect Hajin is tripping and falling on his own. While Hana is quailing in fear of seeing his brother has no chance against Kinhyuk. Before long, Kitai steps up telling him to stop. The moment Kinhyuk sees him, he activates his eye of the truth, but to his surprise, a warning notification welcomes him. Kinhyuk's skill has been cancelled because the level difference has exceeded a certain amount, implying that Kitai is over level 20. Without showing any fear, Kinhyuk remarks on how he doesn't know that Hajin has a babysitter. Kitai claims that he can't help it since Hajin has his uses. Kinhyuk immediately assumes it was about the Goryeo ginseng Hajin supplies to China. That surprised Kitai by the fact that Kinhyuk, who hadn't even done his test, yet able to know such information. But Kinhyuk immediately brushes it off, asking whether he knows how to deal with the side effect of Goryeo ginseng. The moment Kinhyuk finishes his word, Kitai deploys his skill, called Blackout Barrier, in an instant. Taemin tries to run over in an attempt to help Kinhyuk, but the barrier finished being deployed, separating both Kinhyuk and Taemin from the outside world. After talking for a bit, Kinhyuk wants 10 of Warrior's Guild exclusive dungeons for the information. Goryeo ginseng is an edible item that's said to be excellent for recovering stamina and mana. However, there is a side effect that if taken raw, symptoms of mana poisoning occur. Kinhyuk knows this fact that these side effects are putting the Warriors members through hell. He explains they can easily take care of that with 3 items: Karashin juice, moonstone, and most importantly, mandrake root. Kinhyuk knows that not a lot of people know where to find mandrake root, so he will trade this information with the exclusive dungeon rights. Kitai can only stand still in his place. Each and every word Kinhyuk says is accurate with the Warriors' research and explore teams, leaving him with wonders of who Kinhyuk really is. Summoning his dagger, Kitai agrees with their deal as he threatens Kinhyuk that if he ever plays a game with the Warriors, things won't be pretty. Summoning his dagger in kind, Kinhyuk says that Kitai might have misunderstood something here. The one who's making offers and giving a chance here is Kinhyuk, showing off his upgraded dagger as his credential of who he is. Outside the barrier, Taemin and Yanawa are fighting with the henchmen. Yanawa looks visibly angry and full of killing intent toward everyone who dares to come close. Before long, the barrier is dispersing, revealing Kitai and Kinhyuk are done with their business. Taemin and Yanawa know Kinhyuk got dragged against his will, so they just need him to say the word, and they will kick all of their asses. Kinhyuk tells them that it's fine, because Kitai turns out to be more reasonable than he initially thought. On the other hand, Hajin is throwing a tantrum toward Kitai for letting them go just like that. He pleads he will get him down if he gets another chance to fight Kinhyuk again. In return, Kitai grabs Hajin's neck and lifts him in the air as he is saying that Hajin is no match for Kinhyuk before threatening him to not act on his own ever again. As Hajin gasping for air, he wonders who Kinhyuk is. In the end, Hajin can only seize in anger toward Kinhyuk for embarrassing him, and that lit a fire of extreme vengeance in his mind. On the other hand, this instance triggers the copy condition to be satisfied. So Kinhyuk has successfully copied the skill called shallow breathing that allows him to control a target's breathing and heart rate. Now, what's left for Kinhyuk is to take the thing they call the test. Right after entering the facility, Kinhyuk is happy to see that his intern, Park Hannah, takes up first place in the ranking in today's test. Before long, it's Kinhyuk turns. The test is simply to strike the magic crystal. The facility staff explains it doesn't matter what items or unique abilities he has. They're just measuring his potential when he strikes the crystal. Summoning his dagger, Kinhyuk walks up toward the biggest crystal he can see. The staff tries to hold him up, saying he should take the beginner crystal, because for all he knows, there's no way an average person could damage an intermediate crystal or higher. At that moment, Kinhyuk put all the strength he could muster into his dagger. Putting all of the rift stats on maximum effect, he cleanly strikes the crystal in half. The staff is surprised to see someone is actually capable of slicing a magic crystal in half, because most people he saw are disqualified because they don't have enough mana required. In the end, Kinhyuk got a whooping 20,000 points with an S-grade rank. The staff hurriedly tries to report it to his higher-ups before Kinhyuk stops him. He asks the staff to hold the report for a week for a personal reason. The man tries to refuse his request, so Kinhyuk intimidates him by saying that he can easily deal with this lowly staff. And in the end, he agrees to hold the information off. Outside the facility, Kinhyuk meets Hannah, where she gives the ring she promised to him. Kinhyuk praises her for doing what she said she would, as he teases her, making the curse on her face flare up in red. She asks him to get rid of it, but Kinhyuk refuses, saying that he wants to see how she does first. Outside the building, Taemin and Yanoa are surprised that Kinhyuk got an F rank. Kinhyuk decides to not reveal his true rank, since it will only bring trouble for now. In the end, they bid farewell. Kinhyuk instructs them to keep climbing the tower and saying that he will find his way on the first floor first. As he gets back in a cab, he thinks about how the test classifies Awakens' rank by their magic. Those who pass it move to the second test. It's easy enough, since all one has to do is clear the dungeon in the Tower of Trials. Since the level doesn't matter, people usually choose ones with goblins or orcs. However, Kinhyuk has another plan in mind. He's going to the only ruin on the first floor. It's a place that not a single person has been able to clear since the Tower of Trials first came out 11 years ago. Disguising himself as a porter, Kinhyuk goes to the corridor of the corrupt.